Hi, I'm Rebecca.
I'm Liz.
Together, we are Pip Bird, author of The Naughtiest Unicorn books, illustrated by David O'Connell. In The Naughtiest Unicorn, Mira and her UBFF, unicorn best friend forever, Dave, go to unicorn school where they have magical adventures, except Dave always ruins it.
Usually by doing a giant poo.
And book 7 is The Spooky Surprise. Halloween is very special at unicorn school.
Yes, and at unicorn school, they don't just celebrate Halloween for one day, they celebrate it for a whole week. So we hope that you're all joining in too and having a super spooky half term. And we're going to read you a little bit from The Spooky Surprise.
Okay, here is chapter 1. It was very nearly Halloween, and everything was dark and spooky. The wind rattled the windows of the unicorn school dormitory. Everything was dark and spooky, and it was also super windy, continued Mira. She was holding a torch under her chin to make her face look extra spooky. Everyone in class Red was there, along with their UBFFs, unicorn best friends forever. They were all gathered round Mira, listening as she told her spooky sleepover story. Halloween was just 2 days away, and everyone was very excited. At unicorn school, Halloween was celebrated for a whole week, not just one day. As the storm raged, a brave girl and her unicorn made their way toward the scary forest of death, continued Mira. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Then lightning flashed, lighting up the room. Cool, said Darcy. Darcy was one of Mira's best friends at unicorn school. Raheem's unicorn, Brave, gave a high-pitched squeal and hid his head under a pillow. Why would they go to the forest of death? Said Jake. Said Mira, thinking quickly. There was something they really needed to get from the shops, and the only way to get there was through the forest of death. That makes sense, said Raheem thoughtfully. Raheem was Mira's other best friend. So the girl and her unicorn had just got to the forest, said Mira, and they heard a rustling in the bushes. Everyone jumped as a strange rustling sound came from behind Mira. She looked around in surprise. Her unicorn Dave was opening a large packet of sour sweets shaped like mini ghouls. Mira grinned and gave her UBFF a scratch behind the ears. Dave wasn't like the other unicorns at unicorn school. They were mostly glittery, magical, and pranced elegantly around, being very well behaved. Dave was grumpy, greedy, and interrupted most lessons by doing giant poos or falling asleep and snoring loudly. Get on with the story, I want to tell mine, said Jake. Mira frowned at Jake. So they heard a rustling in the bushes, and then a big witch jumped out. How big was she? Asked Tamsin. Mira thought. Bigger than a car, but smaller than a dinosaur. Did she have a black caticorn? Said Seb. Did she have a sloth? Said Flo. Flo loved sloths and slothicorns. Both, said Mira. Yay! Shouted Flo and Seb. The big witch, her black caticorn, and her sloth chased the girl and the unicorn, said Mira. Flo and Seb gasped. Their unicorns, Sparkles and Firework, shivered and whinnied excitedly. The girl and the unicorn managed to do a spell and turn the witch into a tiny toad, but now it was completely dark and they were lost, said Mira. All around them it was silent. Suddenly, pop!
Dave's giant fart rocketed around the room like a thunderclap, and all the children screamed loudly. The unicorn shrieked and Brave bolted and hid in a cupboard. Oh, Dave, said Mira, grinning at her unicorn. She loved it when Dave joined in with her stories, even if it was by accident. Even though Dave wasn't quite the sparkly, glittering unicorn best friend forever that Mira had dreamed of before she'd started unicorn school, she still thought he was the best unicorn in the whole world. Mira went to give him a hug. Dave took the opportunity to stick his nose straight back in the plastic pumpkin snack bucket and started chomping on the snacks that were in there. My turn to tell the story, said Jake. He grabbed the torch from Mira and held it under his chin. My story is called The Terrifying Tale of the Spookicorn. Ooh, said Class Red, snuggling into their sleeping bags. I've heard of the Spookicorn, said Tamsin. I didn't know it had a terrifying tail, though, said Flo. Jake's unicorn Pegasus shushed them. It was a dark and spooky night, said Jake. I've heard that the Spookicorn is the spookiest of all unicorns, said Seb. His unicorn firework nodded wisely. And it has red eyes, said Flo. And when it arrives somewhere, it knocks 3 times and does a bone-chilling neigh, said Darcy. Shh, said Jake, you're spoiling the story. As I was saying, he continued, it was a dark and spooky night, and it was a full moon. A really cool boy and his unicorn were all alone. Do you know where they were? In a creepy old castle, said Seb. In space, said Flo. In the zombie apocalypse, said Darcy. No, said Jake. They were here, at Unicorn School. A hush descended on the dorm. Mira felt a little shiver go up her spine. It was nearly midnight, Jake continued. The really cool boy and his unicorn were having a midnight feast. And then there was a knock upon the door. The unicorns jumped in fright. Jake shone the torch all around the room. The light fell on Dave. His face was stuck in the plastic pumpkin treat bucket, and he was banging it on the floor to try and get it off. Mira grabbed the bucket with both hands and tugged. Raheem and Freya joined her, and eventually they managed to pull the bucket off Dave's head. Jake narrowed his eyes at Dave. Anyway, it was Halloween, it was a full moon, and it was midnight, and it was really spooky, and then there was a knock upon the door, and then... Dave, stop it, said Jake. But Dave was now snoring quietly on top of a mountain of sweet wrappers. Lightning flashed in the window. A rumble of thunder followed quickly. Mira shivered. If Dave hadn't made the knocking noise, then who or what had?
Well, you'll have to finish the book to find out what happens, but we promise it's a really spooky surprise.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!